They called him the greatest. But Muhammad Ali was not born the greatest. He made himself the greatest. And in his story, we find the blueprint for courage, discipline, resilience, and the fire to rise above every struggle. Today, my friends, I want to tell you a story. Not just about a boxer. Not just about a champion. But about a man who turned his pain into purpose, his voice into a weapon, and his life into a lesson for all of us. This is the story of Muhammad Ali. And this is a story of wisdom. Louisville, Kentucky. January 17th, 1942. A skinny boy named Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. was born into a world of segregation, inequality, and hardship. He wasn't rich. He wasn't special. He was just another kid trying to find his way. One day when he was 12, his bicycle was stolen. Furious and determined to fight the thief, he stormed into a local gym. There, a police officer and boxing coach told him, "Son, before you fight anyone, you better learn how to box." That stolen bicycle changed the world, because it was the beginning of a champion. Lesson 1. Life often begins with loss. Sometimes, when something is taken from you, life is actually giving you something greater. Cassius trained harder than anyone. He wasn't the strongest, but he was fast, disciplined, and hungry. He kept showing up, day after day. By the age of 18, he was competing in the 1960 Rome Olympics, and he won the gold medal in boxing. A boy from Louisville, once unknown, had become a national hero. But Ali's greatness wasn't just in his fists. It was in his voice. He declared loudly and proudly, "I am the greatest." At first, people laughed. They called him arrogant, too cocky, too loud. But Ali believed in himself before anyone else did, and that belief turned into reality. Lesson 2. The world may not see your greatness at first. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you see it, you declare it, and you work until they cannot ignore it. In 1964, at just 22 years old, Ali fought the terrifying champion Sonny Liston. Nobody thought he could win. The odds were against him. The world said, Ali is too young, too weak, too untested. But Ali danced around the ring like no heavyweight had ever done before. He moved like lightning. He stung like thunder. And against all odds, Ali defeated Liston to become the heavyweight champion of the world. That night he shouted, "I shook up the world." He wasn't wrong. He had turned doubt into belief, and belief into victory. Lesson 3. Sometimes, your fight is not just against an opponent. Your real fight is against the world's doubt. When you defeat doubt, victory follows. But greatness comes at a price. In 1964, after becoming champion, Cassius Clay announced something shocking. He had embraced Islam. He changed his name to Muhammad Ali. Many people turned against him. Some called him a traitor. Some called him unpatriotic. Then came the biggest test of his life. In 1967, during the Vietnam War, Ali refused to be drafted into the army. He said, "I ain't got no quarrel with them. My enemy is not in Vietnam. My enemy is here, racism, injustice, inequality." The world erupted. The government stripped him of his title. He was banned from boxing for years in the prime of his career. People booed him, threatened him, and called him a coward. But Ali stood tall. He said, "I'd rather lose everything than go against my beliefs." Lesson 4. True courage is not throwing punches in the ring. True courage is standing by your convictions, even if it costs you everything. For nearly 4 years, Ali was kept out of the ring. His youth, his prime, his titles, all gone. But he never gave up. He kept training. He kept believing. He kept speaking truth. And in 1971, he returned to fight Joe Frazier in what was called the fight of the century. Ali lost that night. He was knocked down, beaten, humbled. The world thought his time was over, but Ali didn't stop. He knew champions are not defined by one fight. They are defined by the fights after the fall. Lesson 5. Losing does not make you a loser. Quitting does. October 30th, 1974. Kinshasa, Zaire. Ali faced the most feared man in boxing, George Foreman. Foreman was young, powerful, and undefeated. People thought Ali would be destroyed. But Ali had a plan. He leaned against the ropes, letting Foreman punch himself out. The world called it rope-a-dope. Round after round, Ali absorbed the punishment, waiting for the moment. And then, boom! In the 8th round, Ali unleashed his fury and knocked Foreman out. The impossible had happened. Ali was champion again. Lesson 6. Sometimes the smartest way to win is not by fighting harder, but by fighting smarter. Patience, strategy, and resilience can defeat even the strongest enemy. In 1975, Ali faced Joe Frazier once more, in what became known as the Thrilla in Manila. It was one of the most brutal fights in boxing history. Round after round, two warriors exchanged everything they had. By the 14th round, Frazier could no longer continue. Ali had won, but he was so exhausted, he said it was the closest he had ever felt to death. That fight was more than sport. It was about the human spirit, the will to keep going when the body screams to stop. Lesson 7. Greatness is not about talent. It is about the will to endure pain longer than anyone else. Ali fought many more battles inside the ring, but his greatest battles were outside of it. He spoke against racism, against injustice, against fear. He visited countries, met leaders, and became a symbol of peace and courage. Later in life, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. His body grew weak, his voice softer, but his spirit, unshaken. Even in illness, he inspired millions by showing grace, dignity, and strength. Lesson 8. Life will weaken your body, but it can never weaken your spirit, unless you let it. Muhammad Ali passed away on June 3, 2016. The world mourned, but also celebrated him. Because he was more than a boxer. He was a fighter for humanity. He left us with lessons that go beyond sports. Believe in yourself, even when no one else does. Stand by your convictions, even if the world stands against you. Rise every time you fall. Make your life bigger than yourself. Ali once said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." That, my friends, is wisdom. Now I ask you, what is your fight? Maybe it's not in a boxing ring. Maybe it's in school, in your career, in your family, in your dreams. But like Ali, you have opponents, doubt, fear, failure, injustice, laziness. And like Ali, you must face them, not with excuses, not with weakness, but with courage, discipline, and belief. Every morning when you wake up, step into your ring, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and fight for your greatness. Because remember, the greatest are not born, they are made by fire, by struggle, by resilience, and by an unbreakable will. So today, don't just exist. Rise, fight, believe. And when the world asks, who is the greatest? Let your life be the answer. This was the story of Muhammad Ali. Not just a boxer, but a warrior of life. If his journey inspired you, then remember, wisdom is not in knowing his story. Wisdom is in living the lesson. This is Word of Wisdom. Until next time, keep fighting for your greatness.